Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Board Games Unlocked, and we are doing Brett's top 10 games of all time. This is something that I've done for the channel before with people that have been on the channel to talk about other games that you may never hear me talk about, or anyone else. So it's always nice to get...
talk fondly about.
Talk fondly about, because obviously everyone has different tastes, and that... It's just cool to see, because the main thing is like, since you've been on quite a few videos now, and if people tend to align with your viewpoint on reviews, then seeing your top 10, they could be like, oh great, I also like those games, or I will like those games.
It's
so
possible.
And I have my own personal taste, so chances are, like I said, there's not going to be games that I do run-throughs for, or even if I do, I'm probably not going to talk highly of them.
Right.
So, without further ado, I'm only here for discussion and commentary. So
arguing
and arguing on why it's bad. No, it's these videos are always easier because these are your top 10s.
Right.
Like
I got it.
It's only whenever I listen to other reviewers talk highly of a game, I'm like, God, you're so dumb. But I don't know them. So,
but you can always comment on the video.
I could, but I don't because I'm an adult.
All right.
So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. You said you had an honorable mention, or you're gonna swing one, or do you just want to go straight to 10?
You know what? I'll start with the honorable mention.
Okay.
Simply because it's a game that I have enjoyed playing, but I've only played it. It's a long campaign game, and I've only played it with the same group of people, so I don't really know how it's going to work in general.
Gotcha.
And it's a lot more intense and strategic, but it's cooperative, and it's Blackstone Fortress.
Oh, okay.
Which is a Warhammer 2040K themed board game.
Okay.
It is not a tactical tabletop miniature game.
Okay.
It is actually a board game.
I'm looking it up.
It's fully cooperative. It's big and expansive and similar to other campaign-style games or legacy-style games where you create characters and buff them up, and then they go out and get hurt, and then you have to deal with the wounds, and then...
Interesting.
With an ultimate end goal. It just doesn't keep going on indefinitely. Sure. But it does. It's one of the you're going to play for 30 or 40 hours. Okay. To get to the end of it all.
That is an interesting... I'm looking at pictures of...
You might very much like it if you haven't seen it.
I probably would. Warhammer's not a theme that I gravitate towards a whole lot. It was actually... There was a game that came out years ago called Relic that was basically a Warhammer 40k themed Talisman.
Okay.
And I had both, and Talisman I still own, but I was like, I don't really care about Warhammer.
Right. Yeah.
But this one sounds pretty cool. So is it like decision-based? Like, do you make decisions, or do you just do scenarios after scenario?
It's a little bit of both, actually. Okay. Scenarios are generally battles. Okay. And it's not just slaughter. It's you have to mitigate, and you have to figure out when to stop fighting and just run away. Okay. In order to succeed. And different people have different specialties and slightly different abilities. So, being cooperative, everybody's working toward the same goal. Yeah. It's got a really great combat style where random draws determine turn order each turn, but you know them ahead of time. Okay. And then once it gets laid out, you have the ability to mitigate. Okay. So there is the ability to go in front of some of the enemies.
Gotcha. All right.
And even then, they may be far away, and it won't matter. Yeah. But they're going to get up close.
That's pretty cool. Okay, yeah, because there's a few games that kind of do turn order as random, like every round, and that's always interesting because, like, Aeon's End is the one that comes to mind where it's like, okay, if he goes, then we're going to lose, but if we go, we win. Right. And it always comes down to the wire. Yeah. That sounds pretty cool.
It is.
All right, good deal.
All right, so that'll be my honorable mention, not officially on the top 10 yet.
Yet, but once you finish... How long have you been playing it?
Oh, God. We've probably played for 20 or so hours, and we're getting close to the end.
Gotcha.
So, but it's been a couple of years, and
you play the same character, and then like they...
You don't have to.
You don't have to? Okay.
Once you get out of a particular scenario, you can trade it in for a different person either a brand new character with different
Yeah.
abilities, or they have some other buffs that other people have played or that you played in the past.
Okay.
So that's another interesting bit of strategy is who you're going to draw in for this upcoming one.
Okay.
Without
Neat.
knowing a lot about it.
Yeah, cool. All right. I might have to look into that.
It's
Sounds cool.
very light in the role playing and much more in the dice.
It sounds
rolling in combat.
Yeah, it sounds kind of like Gloomhaven. Gloomhaven, you don't necessarily role play, and the overarching story is still pretty light. But
And we've never lost a scenario.
okay.
But if you do, we know what happens. Basically, you just go back, heal, here's a couple of
Restart.
buffs,
Yeah.
and be able to go through it again, or pick a different one.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, you have to go through several particular ones.
Gotcha.
And they are rough, and we barely make them through.
Cool. All right, yeah. I'll have to keep an eye on that one. That does sound fun. And you said it's 40K?
It's called Blackstone Fortress.
Well, I meant, is it Warhammer?
It's a Warhammer 40K theme.
Okay.
It's based on actually a bunch of Warhammer books, and
Sure.
so there's a whole literary background that enhances the experience. If you want to read them.
I don't.
I got it.
don't. All right, neat. Okay.
All right. So
Number 10.
Number 10. Between Two Cities.
Really?
Yes.
Between two cities or between two castles?
Between Two Cities.
Okay.
Specifically. Between Two Castles is just more complex and more math, and I just get a little more overwhelmed.
You
than
can
I
pay
want to.
$30 for the app, though.
That is true. For me, it is a very clever co-op with the scoring twist of trying to balance out the two things that you can influence while still trying to be better than everybody else's.
Yeah.
And
Technically not a co-op. It's almost semi-co-op.
yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's cooperative until you get to the scoring.
Yeah.
And then there's a winner or loser, period.
Yeah, that is true.
And that's always nice, too. It's very difficult to know what I'm doing, so I better buff this one. And then
Yeah.
and then once you see your tiles and share them, then you can change your mind about where to place them.
Mm-hmm.
No one is in total control, and I love that sharing aspect of it.
No, Between Two Cities is really good. I think I still have it, even though I'll probably end up getting rid of it because Between Two Castles
Has all that and
It
more.
has all that, and then also the aspect of Castles of Mad King Ludwig.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I remember Between Two Cities got a 10 out of 10 from me. It was just so fascinating because, yeah, you're just basically like, okay, we need to work together. We also need to work together, and you guys need to work together, and so
But
you're.
if you put that one there...
Yeah, okay, listen, by the way, if you put that there instead of here, then this is going to score less. And then that's your final score,
Yeah.
which is so fascinating. Have you played with the expansion
I don't
to
think
Between
so.
Two Cities?
No.
It basically adds, similar to the expansion that Between Two Castles did, where there were rooms that didn't want to be next to others. The expansion added those,
Okay.
and then it also added like public objectives to go for.
Gotcha.
It was a small box expansion. Between Two Cities is kind of a small box anyway,
Yeah.
but it added just a little bit more, and I thought the expansion was great as well. Yeah, those are surprisingly really, really good games, and I never see them played ever.
Well, it's hard to get a group of 3 together sometimes.
Yeah, you're right. That's like the easiest. So,
Anyway, I just also wanted to note, it was just, for me, it was a really great balance of planning and strategizing versus just committing and hoping.
yeah. Right, because you do the draft of the tiles, and then it's like, crap, what do we need? And then, what do we need over there? What do we need over here?
And then when you all reveal, you go, well, I don't need that one over there anymore.
That's true. Yeah, it's so good. They're so good. I don't know. I might keep it. Because the difference between the two, cities and then castles, by themselves are vastly different. So then the game Between Two Castles is like the best of both worlds, but it's closer to Between Two Cities than it is to Castles, because
Yeah.
Castles is auction,
Yeah.
which there's no auctioning in Between Two Castles. So
Yeah. It's more of a theming, but it blends the themes so well
yeah,
that it's definitely good. It's just, for me, it is more complex and more thinking, or more, I don't know, let me just see how this works out.
yeah,
Then I enjoy. I like to strategize more.
Yeah.
But I don't want so many options that I can't strategize.
well, because I think Between Two Cities, it is just the tile scoring. Like, I think Between Two Castles has, oh, well, we got 3 of this type of room, so now we get this bonus.
Bonuses
and then,
objectives.
oh, now we have 5, so now we get this other bonus.
And restrictions. So more restrictions on where things are placed.
Yeah. No, yeah, you're right. Yeah, if you're looking for a more simple aspect, but still get the exact same semi-co-op feel, then Between Two Cities is definitely the way to go.
And that's definitely where I lean, is the simpler, easier to strategize versus so many options. You know, I've been playing modern board games for over 20 years, and I finally figured out I just don't want to think that much when I'm relaxing and enjoying myself.
Sure.
Some people just love it, and I respect that. It's just not me.
Well, even then, like, that kind of concept, my friend Brad brought up the fact that, like, he was talking about a game called Merv, which was it's like probably in the same vein as like Teotihuacan, or a heavier worker placement. Yeah. But he was like, well, I know you played Beetle Sarda, so I don't know how this would. And I'm like, hey, I'm not on some platform because I like his games. Even I don't want to be like, oh, let's break out, fucking Lisboa. Like, let's just casually break out those heavy games. So you have to prep for them. Yeah. But Between Two Cities still has the strategy. So just because it's not gateway, I would say, but it's on that cusp, next level, probably.
Yeah, I would say it's a good gateway game for people who, it's like half a step up, because it's part co-op, part strategy. Yeah. And it's just an interesting twist on all that. And it's a gateway to Between Two Castles.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, like, I've only ever played those games at 3, which works super well. Yeah. But I think even with more player counts, it stays the same amount.
It scales very well.
Like Seven Wonders, it's like, oh, I have 7 people. Okay, well, the game takes the same amount of time.
Right.
Because you don't have to worry, you don't have to wait for every single person's turn. They are immediately working with their people. And, like, because you don't care what the 5th person is doing with his 2 cities.
Right.
Because it doesn't affect you. Yeah, that's a good choice.
Cool.
That's a good choice. It goes downhill from here.
All right, yes it does. Number 9. Splendor.
That's your number 9?
Yeah,
I thought that was your number 1.
Oh, no.
God, the way that box has those lipstick marks on it, like I was just...
I don't even have the box anymore. It's in my bag of games that I just bring around everywhere I go.
Wow. All right. Number 9.
And for me, it's one of the games... The main thing is that it is the first game that I played the first time, and I went, that's good.
Okay.
This is a good game. I lost. I was still learning and figuring things out, but I'm like...
Since then, you've been on a winning streak.
That's great. No, I just went, very little hidden, very simple strategies that can be guessed, so you can play it offensively or defensively. You can play to maximize your points, or you can make sure that you take things away because you're going to run away with something if you get this card or if you get this chip. I can prevent that.
Yeah.
I can, and it's not just screwing you over, because doing that might screw me over.
Yeah.
It really is what's best. And what's best for me, it may be what's worst for you, or it may be, I gotta let them have it because I'm gonna get a lot more if I do something else. So that's how it always been. I'm also gonna mention the expansions. I do have the Cities of Splendor expansion, played them. They really add a good amount of varying complexity when the base game gets stale. Yeah. And it will. It gets repetitive, even with different people, different thought processes. But for me, it is. It is excellent.
You won when you got to how many points?
Generally 15.
15.
But one of the Cities expansions changes that to be different.
Which expansion did we do for Cities? I can't remember.
Oh, with the extra cards?
Yeah.
That was the Orient. I think we actually had 2 of them.
We probably did.
Mixed. But the Orient is the one with the extra set of cards.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Kat liked Splendor. Like, for me, like, Splendor was just... It's like, I think, what did I give it, a 5? It's like a middle of the road game.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know.
It doesn't have the complexities and variances that you usually enjoy.
Well, even then, it's like, because games that probably are roughly in that same vein of you don't do a whole lot on your turn, are like Canvas, Calico, Cascadia, but those things just seem to have a different puzzle aspect that Splendor just didn't have.
Right. Just a straight engine builder.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, that's really it. And you've played Furnace, right?
Yes.
Did you like Furnace?
I only played it once.
Okay.
So it's hard to judge, but I
sold it to Zach.
I was
no, I
starting to
gave
get
it to him.
And I think we played your copy.
Yeah.
After.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed the idea. Mm-hmm. I'd have to play it a few more times, but it didn't grab me like Splendor did.
Okay.
But it did. I was starting to get lost a little bit in the complexity and the way that they built and bounced off each other.
Right. Yeah. So because with him and I, we were certain that you would really like that one. But I think I came with Splendor, Furnace, and Fantastic Factories. All of those are engine builders, which are some of my favorite mechanics in other games. Like the engine, like Res Arcana is another engine builder game. Mm-hmm. But you do your engine in order to get something.
Right.
And Splendor, I guess technically slightly has that to get the people.
Well,
whatever
yeah,
it is.
But mainly it's just to get more of the same.
Exactly. So it's like I like the engine, but I want to go somewhere with that engine.
I can understand.
So that's kind of like if Splendor, like I kid you not, because Res Arcana, you do the same thing. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, I'm gonna activate this to get to this, these tokens. If Splendor was like, I need these certain cards to then get this vendor who has a special ability, mm-hmm. like it would go up just because now your engine does something. And Furnace was same problem. Furnace got a 5 for me because I'm like, this is a fantastic engine builder. Mm-hmm. You're just collecting money. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't want to just do that. I want to activate all this stuff to then get this badass factory with a special ability.
Right.
So
like Tapestry.
No, Tapestry is a genuinely bad game. I think Tapestry. No, I think probably Tapestry is a 5, but I would play Splendor over Tapestry because it's shorter.
Got it.
And
less to endure.
Pretty much.
Got it.
But yeah, I'm surprised that is not higher. I have no idea what is higher on your list now. I was like, surely Splendor's is number 1.
Oh, well, I can understand that. I do want to make special mention of the app for Splendor, mm-hmm. because it not only has gameplay with AIs or pass and play or internet, but it also has special solo challenges.
Oh, okay.
Which are tweak the rules or change the deck, or it's a very, very different game to make it through each of those challenges, and has 20 or 30 to be able to achieve. Cool. So it's a heck of a fun game all by itself.
Yeah.
Once you understand how the main...
Are those only in the app?
Yeah.
It's weird.
Because, the cards have different values.
Yeah.
You have to use different sets of cards. It
Gotcha.
could be done physically, but it would be a real pain in the ass.
I'm amazed with how popular Splendor is that they haven't made a solo expansion or a promo pack of just the cards that you need to do Splendor. Because Space Cowboys is the one who made that. I'm really surprised.
Yeah.
But maybe they made the app and they're just...
Maybe so, and they're done with it.
That could be it, yeah. Have you played Marvel Splendor?
No.
Just the re-theme?
I assume it's nothing different.
Nope. Well, it is. It's Marvel.
Ah.
So therefore it's better for whatever reason.
Okay.
I have no idea. All right. Number 8. Number 8. Number 9 again.
Splendor.
Oh, yay. All right. Wow, number 9.
Number 8. Queen Domino.
Okay.
I find it to be... It was a game because I played King Domino the first time, mm-hmm. and that was another one of those games. I played it once and I went, yes, this hits me. Mm-hmm. Simple enough. The fact that there is nothing hidden, and the randomness can be mitigated to an extent because you know what the possibilities are, mm-hmm. so you can see what's coming up next. It's much easier to strategize. It's much easier to see what other people's strategies are because it is so simple. So King Domino hit me right away. I'm going to love this, and I think I'm going to love this every time I play it. Mm-hmm. And I have. Queen Domino just takes that a whole higher level, just by adding it to a complexity of more of a mid-level strategy game, mm-hmm. like the other ones on the list.
Right.
The other non-cooperative ones on the list. But I will admit that it can get bogged down with math and analysis paralysis, mm-hmm. because you can only do one of these buildings. Which one is going to get me the biggest advantage? But if I do that, but I can't put it there. But if I leave it open, there might be something. And yeah,
right. And then the red locations where it's like, okay, if I want to get that one, then I can fill it with these special buildings.
Or should I wait for something better?
Yeah.
There is a certain personality can make that game a real drag.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, but you can say that for every game.
Yeah.
Like,
But I mean, this is
game.
one that's it should be simple and quick. It should
Yeah.
be over in about 45 minutes to an hour. It can get dragged out by some people, and I've been guilty of that a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's just not fun then. So
Right. Yeah, Queen Domino is the one I actually bought because we played both. And I was like, okay, King Domino is, yeah, that's all right. And then we played Queen, and I'm like, oh, there's actually thought like behind this. But it still has that weird issue with the knights. I don't like how the knights work. Just because it's like, oh, I can tax and I keep getting money, and then I also get victory points for these knights.
That is one minor broken aspect about it.
It seems like it, and it's probably just because, like, other people would have to then be conscious of the tiles that give you victory points for the knights, so they just take that from that person who was trying to go that route.
Yeah. But again, if I screw you, am I really screwing myself worse?
Right. Because it's like, if I don't have knights, then all I did was waste my turn taking that tile. And chances are, but they can also easily, okay, well, I'm gonna wipe these tiles, and then it's your turn. They flip out. Oh, well, there's nothing I can do. You're still gonna get a tile.
Yeah.
So I would have much preferred a way to be like, okay, do I want to keep these knights out for taxing, or do I want to spend them like for victory points, like having that option instead of getting both? But other than that, yeah, they're both fine games. Like, but I actually own Queen Domino. Where is it? I don't know. I can't find it.
Probably under Q.
Yeah, which is over behind the curtain. So, yeah.
All right. That's all I had to say about that.
Cool. All right.
Number
That's
7.
all I had to say about that. Nice. Number 6?
Number 7. That was number 8.
Number 7, man.
Number 7. Yeah, we're rolling not as fast as you are.
I don't care about number 7. Let's go to 6.
Oh, crap. You probably would, though.
Oh, okay.
Because number 7 is Pandemic.
Oh, awesome. All right, good deal. Legacy?
Any pandemic.
Any pandemic.
Any of the pandemics.
All right.
I would all group them up, and I would play them all, and so far I've enjoyed them all equally.
Awesome.
I have played regular, Cthulhu, Iberia, of course, Season 1, and a couple of others that I can't remember
Play
off
the
the top of my
Cure,
head.
probably the dice one.
The Cure.
Yep. Did you play the water one?
Probably
Rising
not.
Tide?
No.
That's easily the worst one.
Okay.
It is.
That's probably why I haven't played it. No
it
one
is
has
genuinely bad. Yeah, no one wants it.
Okay. Then any pandemic except.
Yeah, and then. Oh, have you done the real time one?
No.
Okay. It has Pandemic just as a title. It's called Pandemic Rapid Response, but Rapid Response is huge, and then Pandemic's above it just for a marketing point.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
I like it, but it's not Pandemic, so I never count it.
Oh, okay.
So
well, then I won't either.
But all the other ones you mentioned are really, really good.
Yeah. And they're all variants on the same mechanical movement, but they're all varied enough that they really have different strategies, and they really have different... the roles are important enough to be able to utilize and how they change. But it is still fundamentally, it's basic turn options that is a good introduction to cooperative games, but it's got the kind of complexity and the randomness of the cards makes it replayable, so it's something that either if you like it, you won't get bored most of the time.
Yeah, I mean, because the game has easily one of the best flows of difficulty. Like, it's not like Last Bastion where you're just getting your ass kicked the entire time and hopefully you roll well to win. It's... okay, well, hey, we're doing pretty good. Oh god, okay, everything sucks, and then you deal with it, and then it's like, okay, all right, we're in the clear. Oh god, everything sucks.
Yeah, I actually had that down as a point to mention is the roller coaster of almost every turn, where it's like, this is impossible.
Yeah,
we're never going to get anywhere, and then, okay, you know what? This is manageable. We can do this, and then, oh crap, it's impossible again.
Right.
and it's great how it's just that tense throughout almost the entire game up until the very last move. Win or lose, it often comes down to a card.
Yeah.
As to...
and there's ways to mitigate it, because you know generally what's going back on top. Yep. Which is like... and then it's like, okay, well, we'll lose if this particular... okay, let's use forecast, and let's move it back and plan ahead.
Or, well, that was a waste of the forecast.
I know. Yeah, because it's like, no, let's wait for a better time. We won't know when the better time is to use it. Pandemic was, definitely one of the first games I ever owned. I know it's gotten so many people into the hobby. Like, co-op games just generally will work better.
Yep.
Like, if you want to introduce anyone into
Yeah.
the hobby board games.
Yeah.
Because if you lose and it's like, oh man, we were so close, well, let's try again, because it's with everyone, versus, oh, you beat me and it was really close, I want to try again.
Right.
You know, that just, I never really hear that. Yeah. Or if you lost, you want to be like, oh, let's do it again. Like, oh, I almost had you. I don't know. Which Pandemic's your favorite?
You know, at this point, I would say the Legacy.
Okay.
So Season 1 is the only one that I've played.
Yeah.
But of the particular themes, probably Iberia.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah. The Legacies are... They're in their own separate category, I feel like. You can't really like, you can compare, I guess, Season 1 to base Pandemic, because it kind of is that.
Starts out that way.
At a certain point.
But yeah.
But, yeah, the Legacy experiences of Pandemic, 1, 2, and 0 are some of the best gaming experiences.
Yeah. Genius how they change it without fundamentally changing everything. They just...
Well, in Season 1, for sure.
Oh,
Season 2 and 0 it's still the general idea of Pandemic, but... And they did it really smart, because Season 1, it's like, okay, I know Pandemic, and then it bite-sized changes until... It still feels like Pandemic. Season 2 and 0, you're just like, is this still the same game? But they're still fantastic. Iberia is my favorite of the regular. I don't know why. It just feels crunchier. That you can't like discard a card to hop on a flight to get somewhere. You actually have to build railroads.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, we wasted all the materials putting those down because they suck now. So, and it came with variants in the core box. Like, because you can do it where the cubes are patients,
right,
and they're walking towards, and then the patients or the hospitals can be overrun, and then it causes outbreaks. It's rough. Yeah, that's a fantastic choice. I'll never understand why people say they don't like it, but there are people who just generally don't like co-ops.
Well, that's true,
which is also a strange concept to me.
Well, yeah, I know some highly competitive people that just won't like a co-op no matter what.
Yeah.
Okay. They just love the thrill of beating somebody or really, really striving and coming short.
Yeah.
But so close. Let's do it again.
I guess. Yeah, those are those people.
Yeah.
All right, good deal.
Number 6. Airlines Europe.
Haven't played it.
I am aware.
You bring it over almost every time.
That's not true.
Not today.
But it is strategically, mechanically, it's an interesting mashup between, in my opinion, Ticket to Ride and Acquire.
Okay.
Which is probably another game you haven't played.
I haven't played Acquire. I've played Ticket to Ride.
Yeah. Acquire is that really, really rare, as far as I know, the only American game that was made in the... I don't know if it was originally in the late 50s or the 60s. I know it was around in the 60s.
Okay.
That is still fundamentally the same game. It is still being produced. It has been rethemed a bunch. But it is still fundamentally the same game as it ever was. And it's a good starter. It's a good gateway, but it does get kind of old. There is really one trick to winning, and you just keep mashing that one.
1964 is when Acquire came out.
Thank you.
So,
but so Airlines Europe takes that same kind of it's basically a stock ownership game.
Okay.
But the way to own the stocks is actually a multi-layer strategy. So it isn't just a matter of take this, and on your turn you get more, and whoever's got the most wins. No, because you have to get these cards in your hand, then you have to play these cards out of your hand, but in the meantime, you're not doing other things that are going to advance your cause. It's like Ticket to Ride, you have these different choices, but you can only do one on your turn.
Okay.
And you got to figure out what's my best choice now, and hope that it's still going to be a good choice in 2 turns.
Okay.
But not luck-based.
So is it based off of owning airlines? Is that like the theme, or
stock certificates?
Gotcha.
So everybody can have ownership interest, and it can change, not rapidly, but it can change. There are circumstances where it can change suddenly, where I've got a comfortable lead, and then somebody else lays down 5 cards, and I go, oh crap, I've just helped them out, and they're going to win because I thought I was going to.
Gotcha.
But that doesn't happen as a rule. That can happen, and that's something you got to watch out for.
Interesting.
It is. And again, it's one of those games that there are very little hidden. Mm-hmm. You've got some cards in your hand, but most of what's going to score is laid out on the table.
Okay.
And it's obvious. So, and then it's just a matter of managing your money, managing your shares, and hopefully outguessing what other people are trying to do and doing it better than they are.
Okay. Yeah. Because typically that theming is something that I generally never gravitate towards.
Well,
like airplanes or stock market.
Right.
So it's like, well, I'm never going to touch that.
And the theme itself is really abstract.
Okay.
It doesn't really fundamentally matter to the game. But if you're into the theme, it'll enhance it.
Gotcha.
But it doesn't really... The stock part does. Because having stock certificates and having the majority share, being a majority shareholder, or having, second or third, that's scoring points.
I see. All right.
But it can be just as easily any kind of set collection game.
Okay.
Their theme is stocks in airlines.
Okay.
The airline transportation aspect really doesn't mean anything. So.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to give it a shot, see if it's any good.
All right. I'll bring it over sometime.
Yeah, every time.
Maybe.
Well, you could... we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
Or just remind me.
Number 5. Codenames.
Good choice. Codenames, regular codenames, or duet because we did so well.
Only played duet once.
No, we played it like 4 times because we lost.
I only played duet with one partner/opponent.
I'm sorry, I suck.
No. The interesting thing is that every time I played Codenames before, it was always a party game.
Yeah.
It was 2 teams who really didn't care who won or lost, didn't care whose team they were on. We were just having fun, trying to guess. We were in a corner.
As you should with Codenames, but not with me.
But, you open my eyes to, there's a whole different way to play it.
Yeah.
That had never even occurred to me because the group that I was playing with just didn't play it that way. Mm-hmm. But it can be very strategic and very cutthroat and very precisely trying to figure out what's going on. And that can be very rewarding and very frustrating.
Yeah, very, in my experience, frustrating. Because, like you mentioned, Codenames generally should be played the way you do it.
I think it might have been designed that way.
I think so.
But
it doesn't play... I'm trying to see if I can see the number, but it's not facing me. I don't know how many it goes up to.
I don't think that there's necessarily a limit other than practical.
I guess not.
Just agreement, communication and agreement among a group.
Yeah.
We played it with, 8 on a team.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's supposed to be 4. I think it's supposed to be two teams and 2.
Okay.
Like 2 and 2, but I don't know.
I wouldn't. Oh, just 2 teams of 2 each?
Yeah.
Oh no, I would never do that.
I think that's how it's originally designed. Is with 4 people. But
okay.
And then they came out with Codenames Duet, which is 1v1.
Yeah.
When I say 1v1, it's 1 and 1. But that game...
But it's versatile enough to go either way.
See, no, you're right. And what's strange about those games is I love word games. I think they're a blast. That one, Tag, Wavelength isn't a word game. Letter Jam, those kinds of games are a blast. But I suck, apparently, so hard at giving clues.
It is very difficult to be a clue giver. I have done it, and I have realized I am... Not that I'm necessarily bad at it, but my problem is my personality is every time somebody does anything... I have some kind of smart-ass response, and the clue giver cannot.
Right.
No reactions, no motion. You can't say anything, because anything could be an unfair clue.
Well, it's also because when you're the clue giver, you obviously know the cards. Mm-hmm. So you're like purple 7.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh man, I can...
Except not that one.
Yeah.
Not that one. And
it's
crap.
It's these specific 7 cards... And I had to jump through so many hoops to make 5 of them work. But you start making it work in your own head, and then you're like, they're gonna get it. And then they say sky, and you're like, you didn't even get one of the 7 right. Why would you say sky? And it's like, why would... Yeah, it's just so... I've met one person who was able to... He was on the same wavelength as me. We were able to win Codenames Duet. No, some of my longest friends, we just aren't We get along in every other aspect, but apparently my brain is just wired horribly.
Or it's a combination. Again, and that's why I enjoy the party theme, is that, oh, crap, that was terrible. And we yell at each other, but it doesn't.
Right.
I've actually even played it. A couple of times it came up, we had an odd number of people.
Okay.
And I just went, you know what? I don't care who wins or loses. Why don't I play on both teams?
I think that's actually a variant for the 3-player game,
It could be.
where one person is in the middle.
Yeah.
And they're the clue giver.
No.
Oh, really?
I was a guesser on both teams.
Oh, okay. You
Because
just
I didn't
see the
care.
card. Oh,
well, I didn't know what was true.
Oh, it plays up to 8.
Officially. We've played
Officially.
it more.
Well, yeah, it says, and people are saying it's
Best with 30.
best with 6 or 8.
Yeah.
You got 82% say it's best with 6. That's 817 votes.
Ooh.
And then 62% say it's best with 8 at
That's-
570 people. Others would recommend it at 4, 5, or 7.
Sure. But almost no one at 1.
Well, it's you know what? One person
Solo
did,
variant.
did say one best. Yeah, 0.1%. It's one guy.
Oh, that
And
was
then
probably me.
Yeah, man, I liked it. And if you get Codenames Duet, then you can combine the cards.
That's true.
Have you tried any of the other variants, the pictures? Or
I've tried the pictures.
yeah, that one doesn't make sense to me.
That's a lot more difficult just because it's more abstract.
That's what I've heard.
I haven't tried any of the Hollywood themed.
Yeah,
ones.
no, I haven't tried Harry Potter or Disney or Marvel or
Right.
any of that.
I assume that it's the same, just with
just
thematic words.
Yeah, if it's Marvel, it's all the superheroes and stuff. And I don't know, those seem like it'd be easier to play.
Probably because
Avengers 5, you know, or something like. Oh, okay. Well,
But that's assuming that you're trying to get them to guess those and not those.
like the original 5 Avengers or something, and
Exactly.
someone's like, "Well, technically, Spider-Man's 9th kid was an Avenger in issue 812." It's like, get out of my house.
Or you're trying to get them to guess 3 of them
Yeah,
and not the other 2 that are showing.
that's true. No,
Yeah,
you're right.
you can't say
Yeah,
that.
Yeah, you're right.
And that's the roughest part about getting a good clue.
Yeah. I still like Codenames Duet. It's because then it's just one other person, and it's quicker to set up, and it's co-op.
Mm-hmm.
Versus regular Codenames is competitive, and I just can't flip that switch. So if I'm trying to get Kat to guess clues and she doesn't guess my horrible clue, and then the other team wins, then it's like, you suck.
Your fault.
It is your fault. So, but they're both fantastic. That was your number 5.
That was my number 5.
Good deal.
Number 4 is Fantastic Factories.
Oh, okay. Wow. That is. I'm surprised that is higher on your list than Splendor. Fantastic Factories is easily more complex.
And that actually might be because I haven't played it as much.
Okay.
Splendor, I have gotten to the point where it's good.
Okay.
It's good. I'll definitely play it. But Fantastic Factories,
Yeah.
it has more complexity, more options, more synergy, but so much variance in the synergy of the cards that you can try to acquire that you have to strategize differently based on the luck of the cards.
Yeah, that's true.
There aren't any overpowered combinations, or there are enough overpowered combinations that it's pretty well balanced.
Yeah, I only played it the one time with you guys, and I don't even remember what I did. I remember liking it. I think I ranked it a 6.
Okay.
Because I think we just played the base game, but I know there's like 2 or 3 expansions for it.
There's at least one boxed. No, I think there are 2 official ones.
Because I see people selling it, and I'm like, man, do I want to own that? That could be good. Like, because you're right. I know it was dice placement, right? You rolled dice, and that's how you activated your engine. Yeah. And you can get workers.
And resource management.
There was resources. You're right. Yeah.
And using resources to mitigate the dice roll sometimes, using powers of the buildings to get more resources, and that's when it synergizes into more of an engine.
How did you win? Was it points? Was it victory points?
First one to get so many points, or to complete so many goods, which is another possible factory output.
Gotcha.
But each of them are different. It's not just a matter of this much energy makes this much goods. No, it could just be you roll this die and it gives you goods. There are just so many different ways to score points and to advance toward the goal that it really ends up being nicely balanced.
Yeah. There wasn't, from what I remember, there wasn't like a whole lot of player interaction except taking the card that you might want to take.
The drafting phase of each turn. Yeah, after that, there isn't.
Yeah.
And that's why it's all simultaneous. Phase 2 is everyone rolls
That
their
is
dice,
true.
everyone does your placement, so that it doesn't slow down either.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's true. Because I think we had played like a bunch of like gateway style games in that time period. I think Point Salad was also in that era of when we were playing, and I was like, all right, I guess I'm gonna keep taking carrots and lettuce and then get 80 points. And but Fantastic Factories, I should get that. We should definitely do it for the channel. If not a run through, then a review. But no, that one has kind of piqued my interest. Every time I see someone selling it, I'm like, should I grab that? I might like it. But I don't know
if you want to play it a few more times and decide.
I might want to do that. At least, do you just have the base game, or do you have...
I do have the base game.
Okay.
I know somebody who has the expansions. And
Okay.
They do change enough without being like overwhelming,
Yeah.
but or creating imbalances. So they're a really good variance. And it's not too much that you can't just jump in and throw in the expansions.
Sure.
You know, real gamers. You know, people like me, I'd rather get the base game down solidly than add in complexity.
Normal people.
Yeah.
I don't do that.
I
I'm just
know.
like, all right, we're going to throw in all expansions, all three of them.
When I played Ticket to Ride Europe, I am so glad I played Ticket to Ride a bunch of times.
Yeah.
So I've got all that down, the strategy, everything, and now we're adding on 3 new things instead of shit. There's a lot to learn.
Well, that's why you liked Pandemic Legacy so much, was
Yeah.
because it was, I've played Pandemic, and then, okay, now it's, the next month, and here's one rule change.
Yeah.
You know.
Or everyone can do this.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. So, yeah, Fantastic Factories, I don't remember. I don't remember what I did. I just remember it being a pretty solid engine builder. But it does the same thing that Furnace and Splendor and stuff do, where it is just the engine. And it's like, granted, I felt like there were more moving parts within that engine, so it didn't feel like you were going through the motions.
right,
A
a lot more options
Yeah.
based on card draws.
Right, and that's why I'm kind of hoping those expansions for it add kind of like something to build towards, which could be cool. I don't
No.
know. I have no idea.
Expansions don't do that.
They don't?
No, they just change and tweak and add specialized roles to individual players. Rather
Oh,
than
okay. Well, then
everyone.
that's still kind of something different.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, but it doesn't create a different goal
gotcha.
overall.
Okay.
Okay,
Good deal.
so ready? Number 3.
Number 3.
Number 3, Alhambra.
That's a really good one.
I have enjoyed it. I actually got it blind, and I got the big box, having never played it and knowing very little about it, other than it plays well with 3.
Yep.
And I was looking for games because I had a core group of people, 3 people, and not too much complexity, not much hidden. Can guess and figure out what people are trying to do, but there's very little you can do to interfere with their plans.
Except take like a tile that you desperately need or a money card that you desperately need.
Yeah. And to that end, I will say that most of the time I play with 3, and that's what I really, really enjoy. I have played it with 6 a couple of times.
Yeah.
And I totally get why people are not as interested, because luck becomes much more of a factor.
Yeah.
Once you get up into 5 or 6, I'd say 3 or 4 is really the ideal.
Yeah, that game came out.
I think it was Game of the Year 2002.
Yeah, I was thinking it was like
2003?
It was like an insanely old game at this point.
Yeah, like a choir.
2003.
3. It was
Yep.
Game of the Year.
Yep. Almost a 20-year-old game. 19-year-old game. Yeah, I did that on the channel not too long ago, and we just played the base game, and I was like, because I had never played it before, and I was like, oh, this is extremely solid.
Yeah.
Like, because I do very much enjoy tile laying.
Right.
It's pleasing. At the end, you're just like, oh man, look at what we built. But yeah, the money management, and then because you do have to plan ahead, because you're like, you can't always afford what you need to.
Right.
So then you just have to, and you always have to pay.
But every time you take cards, you're not taking buildings
Exactly.
to actually start scoring points.
Well, because they do that interesting mechanic where if you don't get change. So if you pay an exact change, then you get another turn. And so you're trying to do that. But yeah, the deck, like the way it's shuffled, like you might be just hoarding a bunch of money until you can hopefully buy a bunch of tiles.
Yeah, but you only get 1 per turn that way, because if they're all the same color,
Yeah.
it doesn't get
that's
replaced.
right, because buying certain tiles you needed certain amounts of currency.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's really great. I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I did get the big box, so I've got, 20 expansions, 30 expansions.
Something like
I think.
that.
Now, they're all packaged in groups of 4. So I've actually got 5 official expansions.
Okay.
But each of those are 4 small expansions.
Yeah.
Some of them are just real tiny stuff. Like there's an expansion that you do get change when you overpay. But it's not just straight up change.
Okay.
It can be a random draw of other colors.
Gotcha.
But it works like currency.
Okay.
And there's another one that adds a wild suit to the deck that you can buy any of the buildings with.
Neat.
It's not quite that simple. There are a couple of caveats, but small expansions. And then there are other ones that just add entirely new tiles with entirely different building strategies, much more like Between Two Castles.
Okay.
Where you place them and what you put near them radically affects the score, and it just changes strategy quite a bit. And I really love how you can just throw in whatever you feel.
Yeah,
like.
Modular expansions are easily the best type of expansion, just because they almost every single time one of the modules is going to be good, and so you can just be like, oh, okay, let's just do this one. Why not? Not Cascadia, Carcassonne does that as well.
Oh yeah.
And they have a mega box.
Yeah.
And I think it's like 90 expansions. It's some insane amount. But
again, some of those are just real small.
No, exactly. Yeah. It's just...
You got one more piece, here's what it does.
One tile, yeah.
Or here's like, a new way to start the river.
Yes. I was going to get it off... They did a Kickstarter for some of... It's Queen Games, so...
Yep.
They did a Kickstarter for one of their other games, and on that you can order it, but it's $200 to get it, and I didn't get it at that time, but I think it's available on their other Kickstarters, so I really want the mega box for Alhambra. That's why I haven't bought it, because I just want the big box of everything.
I got it.
But that is definitely a game that I will have in my collection.
Cool.
So, that's a really good choice.
Great.
So far, you're like, what are we on? That was 3?
That was 3.
You're like 6 for 6. Well, that was 3. Yeah, you're like 4 for 6 right now.
Number 2.
Lord of the Rings.
Patchwork.
I haven't played Patchwork.
You have never
I
played
have
Patchwork?
never played Patchwork.
Ah. See, Patchwork is one of those games. I avoided it. I saw it on I saw it on the shelf. At game stores, there were sample copies and everything, and I just kind of avoided it. Just going, this looks like some kind of weird
Old
quilting
lady
thematic.
game. Yeah.
Yeah, and I went, there's no way.
Yeah.
And once I actually played it, I went, okay, there's a lot more to this.
Yeah.
This is a little more interesting.
Well, because you know what I did? I immediately skipped over all his other games and went straight to Feast for Odin.
Right.
Like I do. So.
Right. Patchwork is, and then I played it a few times, and I went, oh, wait a minute. There's a whole other layer that I've been missing out on that I'm starting to clue into. And I've played it, I played the app on my phone.
Yeah.
And hundreds of times now. And it just never gets old.
Okay.
I mean, even against an AI that I know exactly what they're going to do.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I win 98% of the time.
Sure.
But it's not me beating an opponent. It's me strategizing, doing the best I possibly can. And it is just it's so simple. Nothing is hidden. Nothing is random.
Okay.
Everything is laid out up front. And, I mean, it takes that aspect of Splendor that I really like.
Yeah.
And leaves out completely the complexity of chess that I really don't like. But again, Splendor was the game that made me think, okay, I wonder if there's a game with like no randomness at all.
Yeah.
Everything is known ahead of time. It's pure strategy. Oh, well, and immediately thought, okay, that's probably why people like chess.
Yeah.
And Go.
Yeah.
And Othello.
Yep.
And
abstract games generally.
Onitama.
Yep.
Again, all the randomness is determined up front. From here, you know exactly what the possibilities are. And Patchwork is exactly that. It's so simple, but so, it really is a game of economics.
Okay.
Whether I want to spend this tile, which is large, or whether I need to save up and wait for one that's going to get me a better income in the long run. How do we figure that out? And then somebody else does something unexpected, screws my whole plan over.
Yeah.
And now I got to change plans.
Yeah, because it's a polyomino game, isn't
Yes.
it? Yeah. Which is, I mean,
Pure.
Uwe Rosenberg, this is all he does.
Yeah. No, pure
That was his
polyomino.
first one, I think.
I'm pretty sure.
I think it was
Yeah.
his.
The downside of it is strictly 2-player. And I don't see any way that it could go beyond that, and I don't see any way it could be expanded.
That's what his other games are. You have Indian Summer, Cottage Garden, and Spring Meadows.
Well, they're not strictly 2 players.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, like, if you want it, like Patchwork is only for 2, and if you don't want that, then he has other games that are polyominoes. And if you want the insane one, Feast for Odin.
But they are different strategically.
Yeah,
and luck based. They have a different level.
I have Indian Summer, but I still have it, and I've played it once.
I've played it a couple of times.
Okay, is it luck? I don't remember. I feel like
not as much. I mean, not much.
Yeah,
but there is more to it.
Yeah.
Than Patchwork.
Okay.
Where everything is laid out, everything is predictable, except for what choice are you going to make on your move, and then how is that going to affect my possibilities?
Right.
And again, the catch-up of whoever's behind gets to keep going. So one person could have 3 or 4 turns in a row.
Oh, I like that. Okay.
But that means that the other person did something really big.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I always... That's been incorporated in other games. I always like that, where you can just do small turns to kind of set yourself up for a big one.
Yep.
While someone does something big right off the bat, and then you're like, oh, you're going to be waiting a while because I'm going to do all this. Yeah, it's very strange with those kinds of games because I typically do the next leap over. Like, for example, I owned Feast for Odin, played that, love it, and so I never felt a desire to be like, oh, well, let me try Patchwork.
To backtrack.
Yeah, it's like I felt like you should have played Patchwork first to see if you would even like. And I love polyomino games, but at the same time, Feast for Odin isn't hitting my table every day.
Right.
And so because I don't buy games for other people, like, oh, I'm gonna buy Patchwork just in case I have someone come over who wants to. It's like, well, no, it's my fucking hobby. Yeah. Like, I want to play games that I generally want to play that everyone else.
And you'll get rid of the ones you don't like.
Exactly. Which some people might call selfish, but it's like, no, because I'm not forcing people to play games that they don't want to play.
And you have plenty of choices.
And I do have plenty of choices, but every now and then, like, I have a game called Saiketsu, which is a game Kat actually bought.
Okay.
And so I still have that because technically she bought it.
Right.
But no, I mean, I'd give it a shot. I'll play any game once to see what all the buzz is about.
I would say that Patchwork is not for you and more advanced gamers, but as a gateway game, it's fantastic, but it really gets great after you played it 4 or 5 times and you start catching on to, okay, now if I skip that and I wait for something bigger, that has a huge effect later.
Gotcha.
But then other people catch on to that too, and you're all competing for what you think is best, and it becomes...
Because you're trying to build a quilt, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Within a square.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it is just that simple, and that's the beauty and elegance that I just find amazing. I've played it literally hundreds of times, and I've won almost all of them. I played against other humans on occasion.
Yeah.
I've won almost all of those. But it's not the winning, it's the how did I complete my goals well? Really, Isle of Cats is similar in that aspect.
Yeah.
But it has so many other things going on at the same time. This Patchwork just strips it down to the bare simplicity of what tile do you want to place, and can you?
No, I mean that's a good point because like Isle of Cats is a phenomenal game. I think I gave it a 10. You and Kat probably gave it a 9.
I think 9 or 10.
Because it is a mishmash of a bunch of different mechanisms that shouldn't work, but they all work really well together.
Yeah.
But you don't need that to make a great game. Like, there is depth in simplicity.
Oh, yeah.
And
that's what I tapped into.
Right.
By playing it a bunch of times.
No, exactly. And so that's why there are... I mean, like, small box games have their place, and I have quite a few of them, because it's like, you don't have to have a table hog to have... Oh, okay, well, there's a lot... Like, Onitama is a great example that you gave, where it's like, it's a very small footprint, but... And only 5 cards.
Yep.
And you're just like, oh, okay, there's a lot of strategy here.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, they're around. So, yeah, I'll have to give it a shot.
The one thing I don't like about Patchwork, and is a minor quibble, but it really is...
You don't have the Halloween edition, I understand.
Because I play the app,
yeah.
When we play the actual physical game and everything gets laid out, that's just a lot of stuff
yeah.
to manage. And then when they start disappearing, you feel like you have to figure out how to... I like the fact that I don't have to do that on the app.
Yeah.
It just keeps everything in order.
It's so weird, because I've tried multiple board game apps. and I've actually bought like Aeon's End and Gloomhaven on Steam. I don't like a single one of them. I tend to not care.
Right.
And it's very weird. Gloomhaven is a good example just because I played it recently. Like, I feel like I can't strategize as well versus... Because if cards are in your hand and they're physical,
right.
I feel like I'm just more focused, I guess.
I get that.
And apps are just like, I don't want to like scroll through all the cards or whatever. I don't know. It's just so weird. Apps just never work for me.
Yeah, I gotcha.
So, app-assisted board games, however, are fantastic.
Right.
But yeah, typically I just don't go out of my way to get app games.
I don't typically either.
Mm-hmm.
But this is one. Again, a 2-player game. It's very simple. They've got different levels of AI, which are pretty easy to figure out how they're going to move and work against them. But that's not really the goal. My goal isn't how badly can I humiliate you.
This it's AI fake component.
Yeah. How great can I do? And that's when.
All right.
That's
good deal.
That's number 2.
That is number 2.
Number 1. Want to guess?
Have I played it?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Did I show it to you?
Yes.
Sleeping Gods.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Holy shit! That is awesome.
We should play Codenames Duet again.
Wow.
Sleeping Gods number 1.
That is amazing. All right, why?
Everything that we talked about in the reviews and on our playthroughs.
Yeah.
Just the
you played through 2 campaigns, right?
I'm actually in a 3rd one now.
Okay, I saw that was being played again. I was like, I didn't know who was in it.
Yeah. I guess that's a continuation of what we were doing before, but some of the players have changed.
I see.
So it's going to be different.
Okay.
But I was actually playing 2 different campaigns at the same time.
Yes.
And it still didn't get old, and it still didn't, it was varied enough that we had to do things differently, and we had different goals, and it's just such an immersive theme.
Mm-hmm.
And the play style is, it is more complex, so if it weren't cooperative, I probably would be overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And even, halfway through our campaign, I picked up from the other game I was playing a rule that we had missed.
Yeah.
We were making it unnecessarily difficult.
We were like, oh, wait a minute, we can see our outcome before spending our items? We thought we had to prep, and we kept shooting, and it's like, man, what a waste.
Exactly.
It's like, okay, if we use all these cards, then we'll have enough. Okay, so, we drew 6, we didn't even need to use them. Yeah.
Yep. It's huge, expansive, literary, open world.
Mm-hmm. It does need an app for the book.
I can see that.
Because now so many companies are doing an app called Foreteller, which is an audio narration thing. So they have it. He has it for Near and Far and Above and Below, his other games.
Mm-hmm.
And Gloomhaven has it, and it's voice acted, and just that very much needs one, just to be like, oh, okay, what are we on? 70? Okay, 70.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it reads it to you, and you're that more immersed. It'll probably come. I bet you it'll come.
I'm surprised it hasn't already. But
probably because a lot of people are doing Foreteller integration as the Kickstarter is going.
Okay.
So it's like Frosthaven, for example. It was included in the Kickstarter thing. So if you get it, then you'll have it for Foreteller, and it's very cheap. It's like $15. But that seems Foreteller. I don't think really kicked off when that was going. Hence why Near and Far and Above and Below are coming out now.
Gotcha.
And I mean, it takes work. They are genuine. Their sound effects, different. And so I can see why, especially for a game like that.
Yeah.
Where it's the literal best interpretation of a sandbox that any board game has even attempted.
Yeah. Yep.
Except maybe Seventh Continent. Seventh Continent is kind of the same idea.
I have heard that.
Yeah.
I haven't played it, but I've heard that it's
Sleeping Gods is about. We had 15. I think we had 15 episodes. And they were roughly about an hour. We started timing.
A couple more longer, but
because I was like, oh, there's no ending, so you just have to kind of stop.
Right.
But
this one definitely has an ending, but then you can pick up from there and continue on.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's nice that it's it's that sort of campaign style that okay, your campaign is done.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to. You can continue.
Yep, just pick it up again,
but you can feel like you've accomplished something.
Yes, so you could just shelve it.
Yeah.
Because I've only played it the one campaign, which is equivalent of at least 15 hours, and because it's so good, like I have a weird thing where it's like I like to just sit on things that I really like, because once I'm done with them, then I'm sad because I'm done with them.
Right.
So I know we got 5 totems out of like
so.
30.
Yeah.
And there's
a lot more.
We got one ending out of 13, and it's like
It really did one dungeon crawl and very poorly.
we went in, got our ass kicked, and then we're like, we should leave.
Yes.
Because we were playing Nightmare.
Yeah.
Which was really no harder than anything. It's just kind of like, if you actually die, then the game's over.
Right.
But yeah, that game was such an experience.
Yeah.
Like I could see like starting a game at like 9 or 10 a.m. and then all of a sudden you're just like, oh my god, it's 11.
Yeah.
Like it just has such. Yeah.
Yeah.
I am amazed that is your number one game though.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought it was gonna be King Domino.
Okay.
Like, but then you mentioned Queen, so I was like, maybe you just kind of lumped them in together with one another.
I
or
really
picked
enjoy
one.
King Domino, but it does have limitations.
Yeah. And then, because I was 100% certain that no game I showed you was making your list. Because I was like,
you have some good
he's
ones.
not. I know, but I was like, there's no way he's putting Anachrony. He's not putting Paladins. He's not putting any Beetle game on there.
No.
Unless for some reason he really ended up liking one.
Not yet.
But no, Sleeping Gods is a fantastic choice. I don't want to spoil too much about that one. Besides the fact that that game wouldn't be as great if he also didn't do combat amazingly.
And yeah, I was actually something I was going to point out is combat is a whole different strategic minigame and cooperative.
Yes.
At the same time, but it's really a mashup of two different games.
Yeah.
But this one comes up occasionally, and it's intense, but then it's over.
Yeah.
And then you're back to the story, the literary game.
And people are getting beat up, and then you're like, okay, well, all right, let's go back to an inn and rest up and spend our hard-earned money, and we need 30 of them to try and... Yeah, it's like... It's just so good. And because I like it so much, I want another one. I just want another game of his.
I mean, the same mechanic could be themed in a totally different way, and it would be a different experience.
No, I completely agree. Like, I just want to know the design process behind that one. Typically, I don't care what like. Okay, yeah, this guy sat around and thought of some mechanics, but that one, it just bleeds so well together.
It seems more like he wrote a novel.
Yeah.
And then, okay, so how do we get? How do we inject?
How do we put a game into here? Yeah.
Into this?
Yeah. If there's anything that game probably could have done, but I know that wasn't the point. The characters were the characters.
Yeah.
But it felt like it was itching for roleplay.
Yeah.
Like, almost. Just because it was so sandboxy.
Yeah.
Like, your decisions aren't necessary... Well, no, like, because what you do and where you go, you have decisions on how you interact with everyone. But it's not quite like D&D, for example.
No, I mean...
It is confined in that. Yes. It's confined in that where it's still a sandbox. It's essentially a video game.
Yes.
It's like Skyrim. But you can't do whatever you want in Skyrim because the game won't allow you to do it. Right. But you can still be like, oh, I was told to go to this castle. Yeah, I'm just going to beeline it left and just see what happens.
Right.
And you can very much do that in this.
And that's how you pick up more quests that you may or may not ever complete.
Yep. And then there's one expansion. Well, there's technically 2, the dungeons.
Right.
And there's 5 of those, and we went through half of one, and we're like, oh, we're going to die. We need to... So 5 is more than enough, because 1, you have to find them.
Yeah.
Or go to them.
Yeah. Well, you know where they are.
Yes, they tell you. But specifically go out of your way to go to them.
And then you want to time it right.
Yes.
Because we did not.
Nope. We happen to be at one. And it's like, okay, well, the campaign's almost over. And that's the other great thing, is like, Gloomhaven and Gloomhaven and all them, they're fantastic. I love them. But it's like, I've had Gloomhaven since it came out. I still haven't beaten a campaign. Like, mainly because I don't always have it set up and I don't, focus on it. So I know I could, but they're just so long. Right. It's the same reason why, like, the Witcher video game, they shortened the Cyberpunk campaign because no one beat the Witcher because it was like 300 hours.
Oh, gotcha.
But that one, it's like it's bite-sized. You run through the event deck 3 times, and that's the campaign.
Yep.
And it's such a balance. It leaves you wanting more, but still feeling satisfied when you're done.
Oh yeah, and knowing there's a whole lot more you can do.
Exactly.
So
because you can't do everything, the game will not allow you to because you don't have enough time.
Exactly.
But then the Tides of Ruin, which you have been to, right? In one of your campaigns, you actually went to the other map.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, didn't somebody just tell you to go there?
I think it was just a matter of we were sailing off the southern edge of the map.
Okay.
And, okay, just here's the next map.
Gotcha.
I believe, and it wasn't fundamentally different. It was just more.
Yeah.
So more to explore, and he could easily expand on any of the edges of the map.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. Yeah, I guess he could just, if he wants to keep that, because all of his games are in the same universe or the same world, obviously at different points in time. But you're right, he could just add more content to Sleeping Gods instead of doing a whole nother game.
Yeah.
I need to ask him. If I see him at Gen Con, I'm gonna be like, dude, you have to let me know.
But the whole thing could be rewritten and rethemed in a different style to appeal to a whole different set of literary appreciation.
No, I know, because that was more realistic steampunk kind of. It was like 40s, was it?
It was supposed to be
or then the 20s. I don't remember.
I think in the 20s.
Yeah,
as I recall, but it really was. It's really probably the lightest Cthulhu style, Lovecraft style.
Sure, yeah.
Of monster and
it was fantastical. It wasn't quite horror.
Yeah.
It wasn't horror fantasy.
No,
but it was like weird. It was weird fantasy.
Yeah. But they could easily do the same thing in a medieval style or in a sci-fi or modern.
Yeah.
I mean, they could all be, detectives, or they could be, espionage. They all wake up in a room together.
That's true. Yeah. His world is general fantasy with obviously his unique creatures. So, he does have Empires of the Void, which is sci-fi. So he technically does have space. So I could see that. Yeah. If I see him, if they're at Gen Con this year, I might ask him.
Or, for that matter, he could just sell the idea to other writers who could take the same mechanics and write different stories.
True. But he doesn't do all of his games. He designs, does the art.
I understand.
And writing.
I'm just saying it's that versatile.
Yeah.
It's a foundation that could be built in a bunch of different directions.
It set the bar. Because so many other games are like, oh, this is Sandbox. It's like, no, it's not. Yeah. Can I do this? No. Like, it's very linear. So Seventh Continent technically set the bar. Yes. Because you literally can do whatever. But that one gave you the narrative, which Seventh Continent doesn't.
Right.
And Seventh Continent takes I think it was 18,000 minutes per curse. Like, wow. I think I read some article or something where it was basically stating 18 something.
You will never finish one.
It's either 1800 or 18,000, which is still
sounds more reasonable. But
probably 1800, which is still about 30 hours per curse.
Yeah, that would be 30 hours.
So it's a lot, and yeah, Sleeping Gods just was perfect. So
that's
awesome. Well, that makes me happy. Good. Let's see, your total top 10. 3 I haven't played, counting your honorable mention.
Okay.
I'll play all of them. Patchwork,
sure.
Airlines Europe, and then the Warhammer one sounds pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, I don't hate any of them.
True.
So
there are some you absolutely don't love.
There are some I just wouldn't want to play.
That's fine.
But all right.
Cool.
Well, sweet. That was a fantastic list.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Maybe you'll be back. But let us know what you think of Brett's games in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.